Next thing, Antarctic spider. So some of these are just going to go rapid fire. This one isn't really worth it. This one was seen on Google cameras in Antarctica, and it was posted on the export of 4chan. And this one guy just kind of went off, just giving the lore dump on this thing. Well, he claimed it wasn't theorizing. He claimed that his dad worked for like a base there, and that all this stuff. Claimed that they were 5-legged spiders, who he called striders. More on that name later. That live in Antarctica, and the American, Chinese, and Chilean governments. Okay, first off, why would the American, Chinese, and Chilean governments work together on this? And supposedly those 3 governments are experimenting on these spiders. You get what I'm saying? Those are not 3 governments that will work together.
Yeah, is there even a Chilean government at this point that's, like, capable of doing that? It's, the Chilean government is rather whimsy right now.
I mean,
I don't think it's capable of, like, just doing something like that.
Most of Chile is either beaches or a mountain range, so there's not really much of a country in the first place.
Yeah.
It's just so elongated, like...
Well, Gustavo Fring comes from there.
Supposedly. So there's no records of him existing in Chile.
Oh.
Many atrocities committed by the Chilean government. Yeah.
We're notoriously bad at records.
Yep.
Okay, there's our Breaking Bad reference. We can just turn it off now.
Well, it gets worse, so we're gonna keep going.
Oh boy.
These spiders were allegedly awoken by human research in Antarctica. Okay, this is starting to sound like a movie plot. You know, dormant like this is almost like an environmentalist. This is like a kaiju movie. This is like some weird post nuclear, like World War II.
Isn't this 2014 Godzilla? Word for word.
Kind of. Like, you know how...
I'm pretty sure this is 2014 Godzilla.
You know how post Nagasaki and Hiroshima bombing, like, Japanese cinema just kind of went with that for a while for, like, all their plot lines?
Yeah.
Reasonably so, because they all died. Basically, this is, like, a movie plot. Let me guess. So, like, everyone goes to Antarctica... And then, you know, there's some, like, environmentalist message about how we shouldn't mess with Antarctica, and then all the ice spiders come out and kill everyone. Like, this movie basically writes itself.
It's like The Thing, but not good.
Yeah.
The Thing isn't very environmentalist anyway, I guess, is it, though?
Yeah. If you're just something random, I don't really want to watch the movie The Thing, because there's an X-Files episode that just ripped it off, and... Like, I feel like I've already seen it now, because it was literally 1-to-1 with the plot.
Well, yeah, it's not like a complex movie at all. It's a good movie. Like, Kurt Russell's performance is obviously really good.
It's by John Carpenter.
But the thing is
I swear there was...
John Carpenter, yeah.
I swear there was either a Clark Ashton Smith or H.P. Lovecraft novella that was similar to The Thing. Oh, In the Mountains of Madness. Let me just read a plot synopsis for The Mountains of Madness. I swear it was similar. Plot. The story is narrated in a first-person perspective from geologist William Dyer, a professor at Miskatonic University in Arkham, Massachusetts, aiming at preventing an important and much-publicized scientific expedition to Antarctica. Throughout the course of his explanation, Dyer... Hey, this is relevant to Antarctica, so we can just go with this kind of tangent for a second. Dyer relates how he led a group of scholars from the university on a previous expedition to Antarctica, during which they discovered an ancient ruins and a dangerous... Okay, we'll talk about ancient ruins in a bit, so just see this as a primer. In a dangerous secret beyond a range of mountains higher than the Himalayas. A smaller advanced group, led by Professor Lake, discovers the remains of 14 prehistoric life forms previously unknown to science, and also unidentifiable as either plants or animals. 6 of the specimens have been badly damaged, while the other 8 have been preserved in pristine condition. The specimens stratum places them far too early on the geologic timescale for the features of the specimens to have evolved. Some fossils of Cambrian age show signs of the use of tools to carve a specimen for food. Let me see. Dyer and Danforth fly an aeroplane across the mountains, soon revealed to be outer walls of the vast abandoned stone city alien to any human architecture. For their resemblance to creatures of myth, I mentioned the Necronomicon. The builders of this lost civilization are dubbed the Elder Things. By exploring these fantastic structures, the explorers learn through the hieroglyphic murals, we'll get to those as well later on, that the Elder Things that came to Earth shortly after the moon took form and built their cities with the help of Shoggoths. Okay, so Shoggoths are kind of like sirens. They're kind of like shape-shifting sea people, I think. And they live off the East Coast. So in the Cthulhu mythos, Shoggoths are basically just these sea people that terrorize fishermen. H.P. Lovecraft would be such H.P. Lovecraft is like terrified of seaport cities. Going fishing with H.P. Lovecraft would just be the worst. He would just be such a scaredy cat. Beyond the point. Biological entities created to perform any task, assume any form, and reflect any thought. There is a hint that all earthly life evolved from cellular material left over from the creation of the Shoggoths. Okay, so kind of like Prometheus fire with Prometheus.
Yeah. I was just about to say that, actually.
Yeah. It's interesting how the black goo kind of is in a lot of different media. Like, there's an X-Files episode that, in fact, the X-Files movie, which we'll talk about in a second, which also ties into all this, has a similar kind of liquid to the black goo. It's like a alien black goo that's found in oil, and it when it gestates inside of humans, and it kind of like alien like chest bursts, and then it turns into a gray alien. There's like a plot line of a gestated alien that bursts out of someone and then runs over to hey Nathan, we're talking about gestating aliens found in oil reserves that grow inside of nuclear reactors. What do you think about that?
I have zero idea how this has a point.
Yes, it does have a point. Okay, so in the X-Files movie, there's an alien that gestates from this black liquid that when ingested, the alien grows inside you, chest bursts, and then it grows via radiation. So in the movie, it goes to a nuclear reactor core that just sits in the center and then just like absorbs all the radiation to grow. And I'm saying that's similar to the movie Prometheus, because the Prometheus fire in Prometheus also is a black liquid that spontaneously mutates and creates life. And that ties into H.P. Lovecraft, because the Shoggoths were created from cellular material, which that cellular material with the leftovers was the building blocks of life that created humans. And this ties into a 4chan post about spiders in Antarctica. Does that all make sense now?
Sort of, yeah.
I will kind of. I have not seen Prometheus. That's the only alien movie I haven't seen.
It's one of my favorites.
But I want to watch it at some point, but I kind of got like the rest of the idea of it beyond the Prometheus thing.
I'll say this: the movie's a bit confusing, but if you just read a few articles on Xenopedia, like the AVP wiki, when a lot of things are in context, the movie is vastly better. I feel like a lot of people can't really follow the plot, but once they get it, it's a really good movie.
Yeah.
So, Nathan, we haven't heard from you today. Is there anything you want to say about your day or anything on your mind?
I can't think of anything outstanding. Oh wait, Silksong released today. That's about it.
So
I've been going crazy over that.
Silksong.
All night.
When we think of like GTA 6 or Half-Life 3, how does Silksong rank among those like sequels?
It's up there.
It's up there?
It is definitely up there. Yes.
It's up there, yeah. 500,000 players peak today.
It crashed Steam for around 4 hours.
I was just walking around. I was just seeing people just playing it on their computers, just as I was just going about my day. Like, I just saw people just...
It's been really highly anticipated since the first game was 8 years ago. Yes, 8 years ago.
Yeah. I remember seeing the freaking trailer for Silksong as an 8th grader, to give you an idea. Was I 8th grader? Yeah. And so, I've been anticipating this for quite some time, and I know a lot of other people have as well.
I'm trying to think of something I've been anticipating. Obviously, I'd like to see Star Wars Expanded Universe continue, or Star Wars Legends, like some new books. Half-Life 3. Half-Life 3 I don't really care about too much because the Half-Life community is just good enough that I have enough faith in them that they could just make it, or they've already made enough good projects that I'm just content with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Silksong, was the game good?
Well, I haven't beaten it. I've had a lot of stuff to do today. I've gotten like roughly 2 hours into it, maybe an hour and a half in. It was pretty good so far, and this is just like stuff that this is like the sort of stuff that they probably finalized like 4 years ago, versus some of the stuff in the later parts of the game and the more extended areas. I'm guessing are going to be a lot newer and a lot more like intuitive, like cool as well.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. So back to sentient black liquid. So,
back to our schizophrenia.
Yeah, this all is going to come together, I swear. Okay, so the Shoggoths are, shape-shifting sea creatures, and that is similar to certain legends of water babies, sirens. There's just something in the collective unconscious about shape-shifting water beings, mermaids, that kind of thing. Someone going to say...
Yeah.
So interesting to see this reflected here. As more buildings are explored, the explorers learn about the Elder Things conflict with both the star spawn of Cthulhu and the Migo. I'm pretty sure the Migo live on Pluto. What planet do they live on? They're in the Whisper of Darkness, in the Dream Worlds of Lovecraft's sonnet, Funky from Yoggoth. Yeah, they're from Pluto. Let's just kind of skip forward a bit. Dyer and Danforth eventually realized that the Elder Things missing from the advance party's camp had somehow returned to life, and after killing the party, have returned to their city. They also discovered traces of the Elder Things' earlier exploration, as well as sleds containing the corpses of both Gedney and his missing dog. Both are ultimately... the good part's coming, believe me. Both are ultimately drawn towards the entrance of a tunnel into the subterranean region depicted in the murals. Here they find evidence of Elder Things killed in a brutal struggle and blind 6-foot-tall penguins wandering placidly, apparently used as livestock. This is the part I remember from the novella, was giant carnivorous penguins that kill people. They are then confronted by a black bubbling mass, which they identify as a Shoggoth, and escape. Aboard the plane, high above the plateau, Danforth looks back and sees something which causes him to go insane, implied to be the unnamed evil itself. Okay, also, just one funny thing about the way Lovecraft writes, it's always written in first person, and then the person who's writing it always says, it was indescribable, and then goes on to describe it for like 2 pages. How is something indescribable when you just go on and explain it? But this is part of his writing style.
I think you should use words like indescribable only to like writing something. I feel like it works better if you're just kind of using it in conjunction with other like words to evoke a sense of like
the cosmic
ethereal,
horror,
like divinity or general like mystery.
Well, yeah,
I don't think it works when you actually describe it.
It's like, cosmic horror. It's supposed to be. They're supposed to be terrifying. They're supposed to be like beyond human comprehension. So while there is a physical description, they're like what he says. What he means by it was indescribable. It means that it's like provokes fear. Like it's beyond human comprehension.
Sort of like a extremely like fear-evoking like divine presence.
Yeah, that's what his writing does.
But when you don't use it like with that specific like context in mind, it just kind of falls flat.
Let me.
So it is describable. Is that what you mean?
But it's that kind of like dread. Like it's that kind of like dread of the unknown. Like when I say like I saw a ghost or I saw an alien. Like it kind of like there's kind of like an unknown element of that kind of like provokes fear. So it's that kind of like unknown fear that he is very good at writing. So when he writes it was indescribable, he's actually using that correctly in that he's trying to provoke that kind of fear in the reader. So by using that kind of language, it kind of aids in that. So it's kind of paradoxical that they're saying it was indescribable, then goes on to describe it, but it's just kind of adding to the fear. So it usually the people like the narrator that's written first person is usually kind of like has like PTSD or they're like suicidal or something. It's just they're like very disturbed. It just kind of adds to it. So it's just part of his writing style, and he does it very well, even if it's a bit even if it's poorly understood or maybe poorly replicated by others.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so then going on, Dyer concludes the Elder Things are survivors of a bygone era who slaughtered Legs group only in self-defense or scientific curiosity. Their civilization was eventually destroyed by the Shoggoths, who now prey on the enormous penguins. He warns the planners of the proposed expedition to stay away from the site. Danforth continues to experience manic episodes, whispering of bizarre conceptions, which Dyer attributes to being one of the few to have completely read through Miskatonic's copy of the Necronomicon. Oh, so here's just a little anecdote about the Necronomicon. First off, it's not a real book. People think it's a real grimoire from medieval times. The in-universe explanation of the Cthulhu mythos is it's written by Abdul Hazred, who is a mad Arab who wrote it. And of the old ones are cosmic, are eldritch deities that come from outer space, and they came onto Earth, and they're dormant, and they are just evil, godlike beings, basically. There's Cthulhu, Azazoth, Nyarlathotep. There's a goat one, a few others. I can't believe I can remember their names, but I can. Nyarlathotep's my favorite, but anyways, basically the Necronomicon, it's fictional. It's basically whenever he needed a evil text, he would just kind of plug in the Necronomicon, kind of like as a narrative tool. But the dumb thing is, so Miskatonic University, anytime he needed an academic institution, Miskatonic University would be kind of like the name he would plug in there. So many people have checked out the Necronomicon from Miskatonic University, and so many people have like gone insane and committed suicide because of it. How has the university not like locked that thing down? Like, if I was the librarian at Miskatonic University and I saw like someone like committing suicide after checking out that book every week, I would not let people check out that book. Like, I just don't get it. Why are they letting so many people read the Necronomicon when it's so harmful? Like, on like the weekly basis.
My guess is appeal.
What do you mean?
It's appealing to people to hear, oh, there's a cursed book in this person's library or something like that.
Yeah.
Or at least that's like the justifiable defense for it.
It's like when a book becomes banned and that boosts sales. Like, people hear, oh, this book is banned. Oh, banned book, I'm going to buy it, And one other thing is, Mountains of Madness, if someone's just barely getting into Lovecraft's works, I would recommend starting with Call of Cthulhu. Obviously, that's his best book, and it's also kind of like a good starting point, because obviously Cthulhu is the part everyone wants to learn about anyways, he's one of the most interesting. So start with Call of Cthulhu, but if you've read a lot of his other ones, I would also recommend Dunwich Horror. I'd recommend some of his dream
I've heard good things about that one, yeah.
Yeah, Dunwich Horror is good. Let me just look up. Here, you guys can say something for a second. I'm just going to look this up.
Oh, Will, I was going to ask, are you a Hollow Knight fan, or am I going crazy?
Well, I like it. Like, I'm not, like, I wouldn't say I'm a fan. Like, I wasn't, like, dead in anticipation waiting for Silksong, but I did like it enough when I played it.
Okay. I was curious because I wasn't expecting you to really say anything much about Silksong, like when I very briefly mentioned it.
I was looking forward to it because I enjoyed the last one. I haven't bought it yet, obviously, but yeah. I was paying attention, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I get you. I'm actually, like, playing it as we're, like, discussing this, so it's because I have very little, like, free time, at this point.
Yeah.
Because I have
a lot of free time at this point.
Yeah, that's a good point, yeah.
It's all good to hear.
My neuro...
Go on. You can finish before I interrupt.
I was just going to say that my neurobiology class is giving me is, like, already, like, terrifying to me.
Oh, man.
Like, in terms of free time, but that's about it. Sorry, you were saying?
Well, first off, that was like my psychology class. Did you look him up on Rate My Professor?
The professor you mentioned?
No, your class that you're scared of. Did you look him up on Rate My Professor? Like, were you anticipating this?
Oh, I personally know the professor. Like I'm good friends with her.
Oh, all right. That's good. My psychology class, I hated that professor. She was terrible. But I'll save the rant. So, my recommendations for the Cthulhu mythos, this is a tangent on a tangent, but I'll keep this quick. Nameless City is really good. And if you've played the game Quake, there's a level called Nameless City. Nameless City has The nameless race. Now they just crocodile people. That's pretty cool. The Hound is pretty good. Killer Out of Space is good. It kind of lost me with some of the details. There's a Nicolas Cage movie made on it. The Mound is really good. It goes off of the Mound Builders, and it basically Lovecraft's explanation for the Mound Builders is they're a giant there's like these massive underground race of like people who are like who can live forever, and they have like slave races, and it's like crazy. Whisper in the Darkness, I think it was good. I just can't remember what that was about. Mountains of Madness is really good as long as you've read some of his other books. Shadow Out of Time, I think, was good, and it was pretty scary, but I don't really remember it. I just remember it was about a guy who had like recurring nightmares about being about like alien worlds. Yeah, so my recommendations would be first Call of Cthulhu, then Nameless City, then The Hound. Then The Mound. Oh, The Hound is good too. The Mound, and then Mountains of Madness. I swear there was like one more. It was like a short story. Shadow over Innsmouth. That one is pretty short, but that one's pretty cool. Just a bonus one. Okay, so let me tie this all together now that we have looked way too much, gone way too far down the rabbit hole. This relates to the Antarctic Spider in that I think that Mountains Out of Madness, while he may have not read that book, I think that kind of influence and kind of mythos surrounding Antarctica has a kind of imprint over stuff going forward. And we can see the literary influences over this 4chan post. This kind of theme of not, maybe we shouldn't touch Antarctica. So he's also, some people in the thread said that these spiders either were dormant in Antarctica, kind of similar to how Cthulhu is dormant in underground, underwater, in a layer under the water, under the seafloor. I mean, just dormant. These Arctic spiders are dormant until awoken by human research. Other people in the thread also said they were possibly created by the military. According to the thread, trafficking operations in China, America, end up in Antarctica being fed to those creatures, which are kept in a massive building. And this is where we tie together Lovecraft, X-Files, and this 4chan post. In the first X-Files movie, X-Files Fight the Future, it's about people getting kidnapped and sent to Antarctica, where they get experimented on in a lab, which is in an underground UFO, which sounds like a very obvious literary influence over this thread. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah.
I don't want to dismiss it out of hand, but that sounds like something that someone read a story and decided they liked it and made their own version of it.
Sounds like his creepypasta.
Yeah, exactly.
And I read a little bit of an analysis over whether these spiders could even exist, and there is no possible way for these spiders to exist without proper insulation against frigid temperatures. If they did exist, they'd have to be insulated, similar to crustaceans. And this thread came out around kind of the time when Half-Life 2 was released, and he called the spiders striders earlier, and he gave a description literally basically one-to-one with the striders from Half-Life 2, which is pretty cool if you ask me, but doesn't mean it's real.
He's framing it as a fact, so not that cool.
Yeah, but I mean, Half-Life cryptids, it's crazy. And there was a link to the thread I had, so let me just read a few highlights from the thread, which just are wild. Okay, so I post pictures of the strider saying, oh, it's 40 feet tall, has 5 legs. He literally posted a picture from Half-Life 2. So I was talking about the Antarctic Treaty, which is sketchy, but, of course he would mention that. He's saying, he found, a hard drive. And he gives the excuse of, oh, I wasn't the one who's there. It's someone I know. Because if someone's making something up, they always claim it's their friend, so then they can feign ignorance. Be like, oh, well, I don't have all the answers. I'll have to ask my friend. It's a common trope.
Unfortunately, so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just looking, skimming the thread. He's saying they're subterranean. Talking about how bullet penetration works against it. I don't know, maybe if we do a part 2, we can go over the full thread. I'm not really seeing any from the screenshots. It's really that interesting. But we will read another 4chan thread later, which is insane. Okay, so moving on from the Antarctic spider. Oh, one more thing. The Antarctic spiders reminded me of the ice spiders from The Mandalorian. Let me see what they're called. Okay.
I don't think they're unique to just the Mandalorian. I think they appear in some other stuff.
Well, I'm just saying that because it's most recognizable in The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So the knobby white ice spider are the ice spiders that appear in season 2 of The Mandalorian, and they look kind of scary. They're just these giant spiders on this is ice world, and they come from Ralph McQuarrie concept art, and this is they're only in Star Wars canon. They're not in Legends. Let's see, they appear in just Mandalorian. The concept art does predate it though.
That looks like a really fucked up squid and spider combination.
It's an interesting thing.
This one does, if you look at the art though, it is insulated like a crustacean. So that's consistent. And it has more than 5 legs, so it's confirmed the knobby ice spiders from the Mandalorian live in Antarctica.
Sure, confirm.
4chan confirmed it.
Come on, we all use 4chan as a trusted source, right?
Well, it's a honeypot for the CIA and IDF, so definitely not. I mean, I'm
making a joke.
The servers are literally hosted in Israel. Yeah, when 4chan went down a few months ago, everything was made clear. All right, next cryptid, Antarctic long-finned whale. I'll just read this out. It's pretty short. Antarctic long-finned whale is an unconfirmed species of small dark whale spotted in and around the world's southern oceans. Several reports of unidentified whales throughout the 19th and 20th centuries have been attributed to this species. Length estimates range between 20 and 30 feet. Cetologist Robert Clark and colleagues logged 8 sightings of a high-fin mystery whale about 20 feet long off the coast of Chile, November 24th to 27th, 1964. The species was described as having a round face and streak-like markings. Clark suggests that the whales may be a new species of false killer whale or Risso's dolphin, and directly compared it to whales cited by Edward A. Wilson in 1902. Okay, what do you guys think about that?
Honestly,
I think he probably just saw some pilot whales and misidentified them as new. Because pilot whales do come in on multiple shades of gray, black, and whatnot, and they may seem like dolphins at first as well, because while they are technically related to killer whales, they have a very distinct body shape. So that's my 2 cents.
To kind of build on that, I think it's also plausible that there may have just been maybe a few that may have had mutations with longer fins that may have just, or natural selection may have just gotten rid of them, just not really around long enough to be preserved in the record. Like maybe some sort of geologic or meteorological conditions preferred longer fin whales for a finite amount of time, but as conditions changed, eventually longer fins just weren't needed anymore. I think this species sounds pretty plausible. I think it's just a mutation.
Male orcas, I just want to note, do have quite long dorsal fins as well, just as a note.
I think...
Yeah, it looks like a freaking airplane.
It looks like an airplane wing. They're quite long for males.
I think the description is broad enough. It's either misidentification, a very slight mutation, or just, I don't know. I just don't think this is a description that's, notable enough to really, be different, I guess.
Yeah, and same here. That kind of just sounds like either orcas or false pilot whales. I don't think it's new.
Yeah.
Per se.
All right, moving on. This one's funny. Antarctic sea spider. The Antarctic sea spider, sometimes called a giant Antarctic sea spider, was, according to the hoax, a new species of sea spider discovered in Antarctic waters. The text accompanying the pictures stated, "Scientists recently discovered the body of a giant sea spider-like organism in Antarctic waters. The origin of the species is unknown, and it is unclear whether or not there are more of these terrifying creatures roaming the oceans." The so-called giant Antarctic sea spider was obviously a photo of a prop of the queen facehugger creature from the famous Alien movie series. But first, before we go with the skeptical answer, let me just... I'll be honest, I didn't get very many sources. So let me just see if there's, any other...
Just look up sea spider and go to images. You'll kind of get the feel for what they actually are.
Yeah, but it's Antarctic sea spiders.
Yeah, well...
Okay, I'm not seeing any sources, so... It looks like this was just a thing that came up like once, and then everyone realized it was a hoax and just moved on. So I guess, any other thoughts on that?
Sea spiders are real. They just don't look like the alien queen.
I saw a few pictures. Those do look kind of scary.
It does look a little bit like a face hugger, I gotta admit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Well, yeah.
Let's be glad this one's a
Also,
hoax.
if it's gonna be...
I don't want face
If it's
huggers
gonna
to
be
be real.
Antarctic... Yeah, if it's gonna be in, like, the Antarctic area, it's also gonna be, like, more insulated, so it wouldn't even look close to that.
But here's something else. So we're saying Antarctica, we had some parallels between H.P. Lovecraft, X-Files, and the movie Alien. So now we're seeing a facehugger from the Alien franchise appear in Antarctica. So we're seeing more connections between these franchises. So it's interesting. And Alien vs. Predator took place in, I think, Antarctica. Let me just double check that. Does AVP take place? Yeah, AVP takes place in Antarctica. Basically, the plot is they just find like underground tunnels, underground like structures with xenomorphs like frozen in the underneath Antarctica. And then when the predators realize that they're down there, they come over just to hunt, and then basically it's just a massive like battle for the rest of the movie. So I guess there's another influence of frozen beings, frozen xenomorphs in Antarctica. So maybe that's where this sea spider thing came from. It's just someone saw Alien vs. Predator, thought it was really cool, and just went wild. All right, so next cryptid, you guys are gonna like this one. You probably heard of it, the ningen. You guys know about the ningen?
It sounds vaguely
very familiar. Yeah.
All right, I assume you guys are looking at my screen, so I'm just gonna show you guys. Everyone listening, just look up ningen. They're like these little bipedal white dolphin-like dudes.
I've actually seen a photo of that exact creature today.
Yeah. Well, how'd you see it? What were you looking at?
Don't judge me, but Instagram Reels, because I was bored.
Okay, that's better than Rule 34.
Yeah, this is kind of I think I've seen this, it's a bit of a meme image, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely like a popular thing. Okay, so
this thing was related to cryptids, so...
Yeah.
Like the reel itself, so...
It was a schizogram?
Schizogram? What?
Do you know what schizogram is?
Instagram is schizogram. There's no differentiating.
Do you guys know what schizogram is? It's like all the reels that
I've never heard it.
Okay, let me just Google this. Schizogram. Okay, so is this not a term? So, yeah, so schizogram is like basically just conspiracy theory content on Instagram Reels, or schizo talk, just conspiracy TikToks. Basically, my theory is it's a psyop and it's disinformation, just on purpose, or irony poisoning. But basically, it's just a bunch of conspiracy-related TikToks and Reels, stuff like Agartha, Yakub, just stuff like that. That's why I stopped using social media, is because like AI, schizogram, and brain rot started becoming a thing, and I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. That's another tangent, though. The ningen, let's talk about that. The story of the ningen began in 2007 on the Japanese online forum 2chan, which predates 4chan, which claimed that the crew of a whale research ship witnessed the creature as it surfaced near their ship off the Antarctic coast. Originally thinking it was a submarine, they went to get a closer look, but the submarine vanished into the waves. In 2005, Google Earth captured what some people believe to be a ningen near the Southern Ocean. Skeptics suggest the ningen was actually just an iceberg or a beluga whale that coincidentally looked like a sea monster. In 2010, a YouTube channel showing ocean life showed near the end of the video a large object appearing to have small eyes and a large slit-like mouth that can be spotted lying on the ocean floor. It was claimed that the video shows the ningen. However, the aquarium identifies the object as an unusual rock formation, the shape of a frog. Lame. It reminds me of the face on Mars. It was a rock formation on Mars, which looks like a face, and everyone went crazy with it for a while. There's an X-Files episode about it too. But then people are like, oh, it's just a geologic feature. It's just the lighting. Like, come on, that's lame. I mean, yeah, people have gone back there, and there's, like, data now that suggests it was just a geologic feature, but it was probably pareidolia, but it still looked cool. Yeah, just look up Mars anomalies. That's a cool rabbit hole. Any thoughts on the ningen so far?
It kind of reminds me of there's this enemy in Elden Ring called I think Albanerics. It reminds me of them a little bit. Just a little bit.
Legitimately, it looks like the least survivable life form I can ever think of.
Yeah.
This thing is dead.
It kind of looks like a seal, but with legs. But think about this. So it has legs, but no arms.
It looks like the front of it. It looks like the front end of a porpoise. Wait, porpoise? No, I'm thinking of beluga whale.
Well, think about this. If it fell over, how would it stand back up if it doesn't have arms? Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, no.
I probably could have gotten more sources. Maybe we can talk about the ningen more. But what I thought was an interesting parallel is I think the ningen looks similar to the Fresno Nightcrawler. Do you guys know what that is?
Fresno Nightcrawler is what you said?
Fresno Nightcrawler.
Vague.
Okay, so it's not... The name was a little bit misleading. If I show you guys a video, you might remember it.
That looks weird. That looks weird. I've never seen this in my life, but I do not want to ever meet it.
It's harmless if you met it. It couldn't do anything. All right, so look at my screen. Everyone watching, just look up Fresno Nightcrawler security footage. You can watch along. You guys see that?
What the heck is
What do you think it looks like? What does it look like to you?
It's like it looks like a balloon almost.
I think it looks like
the car place balloons that they have outside that are wibbling
Gumby
everywhere.
Like Gumby.
Personally, I think it looks like
Looks like
claymation.
Gumby.
Like, Aardman Animation, the people who made Wallace and Gromit? It looks like an early animation test they would make. And it looks like just a pair of pants. Like, it just looks like a walking pair of pants. I'll show you another one. This one's really creepy. This one is the green one. I don't know how to describe it. I think this is the one in Yosemite. Oh, look at this one. This one's, really creepy. My question is, if the Fresno Nightcrawler fell over, how would it get back up? It's literally just legs.
So much leg, no arm.
Yeah, it's so weird. And then there is also a sighting in Poland, of all places.
I mean, hey, Poland.
Let's see if I can... Okay, sorry, I can't turn off the audio for this. Yeah, see, what the heck? It's just walking. Yeah, so those are the three main sightings.
He's going. He's moving. He's a mover.
Yeah, so it's basically just a pair of pants. It's like a pair of pants that just walks around. It's probably completely harmless, too. What could that thing possibly do to you? Nothing. Alright, so let's get to the description. The Fresno Nightcrawler, also known as the Fresno Alien, is a cryptid that has made 4 notable appearances. So far, 2 of them in California, one in Fresno, other one in Yosemite. In both sightings, it's only seen in video footage. A man in Poland has also claimed to have seen the creature. There's been another sighting in Billings, Montana. There have been many possible sightings of the Nightcrawler in the form of the Carmel area creature, a thin, armless... let's look at the Carmel area creature. Okay, what the heck? Okay, that one's weird. I mean, they saw on the side of the road. Cryptids on the side of the road are all usually a little weird. The creature has been spotted in Yosemite, where footage was again taken from what appears to be another security camera. This time, there are 2 creatures, one being very small, and the feet of the creature can be clearly seen as what appears as some sort of webbing connected to the knees. And the larger one, the cryptid has been videotaped in Poland, this time with what appears to be a handheld camera. So, this kind of breaks down a little bit in that the original security footage, the one in Fresno, the original footage is gone. The only surviving footage is someone getting their camera and recording a computer monitor. So the quality is terrible.
Yeah, lamentable, put it lightly.
Sorry. Basically, the quality is terrible, and there was a guy who made a recreation. He basically, I think he stuffed a melon into his pants, and then he stuffed a melon into his pants, and then removed the upper part of his body in post-production, and then made a music video. I think it was like a Fresno Nightcrawler music video, and he did that to prove how easy it would be to fake it. And
the ideas per video.
Yeah, and it looked like 1-to-1 too. It looked really close. So if there's a way it could have been faked, then probably the thing we can assume is that that's what happened how it was faked. But it's still anomalous, and it's kind of hard to really know for sure what it was. What do you guys think?
I wouldn't give this one too much credit. It's interesting, sure. More in the sense of how a creepypasta is interesting than like a genuine like thing, a cryptid.
What do you think, Nathan? What do you think about the Fresno Nightcrawler?
Honestly, in my mind, I would want it to be true simply because it's too funny. But in reality, I think it's more likely that it's a freaking, like, it is more likely in my head that it's somebody wearing a bedsheet just walking around than anything like that.
Or a midget wearing pants that are way too big for him.
No.
It's like, maybe imagine a midget wearing, like, disco pants, and his, like, whole body's, like, in the pants. My opinion is, let's say the Fresno Nightcrawler is real. What would that mean? So, let's say it's a literal creature. Would it be an organism? Like, would it be... There's no way that could evolve. Like, it would... It's not sustainable. Like, it wouldn't be able to be... It's like, there's no way it could evolve into that. Like, an organism that looks like that could never exist. So, we'd have to...
It's functionally just untenable.
Yeah. So we'd have to think of alternative explanations. Like, maybe it was created in a lab. Maybe it's a spiritual being. Like, but at that point, we're just coming up with, like, anything we can use to reconcile that it exists. So I don't really think it can exist. Like, what would it even do? All it can do is just walk. Like, it's just two pants. It's like a pair of pants. Maybe it's like a ghost or something. Who knows? All right. So, any more thoughts on the ningen or the Fresno Nightcrawler?
It would make a good creepypasta. That's about it.
Well, the ningen basically started off as a creepypasta. It was a post on 2chan.
Oh, well, in that case, no. I have no other thoughts because they've all been taken.
All right. So this next one is a bit out there. It's called Organism 46b, and this one could take a long time, but to summarize, let me just read this short paragraph. Organism 46b was an enormous 33-foot-long, 14-tentacled squid-like creature which lived in Lake Vostok, in a subterranean subglacial lake located under 2 miles of ice beneath Vostok Station in the Antarctic. The animal had limbs that were...
So the Watcher in the water?
Could you explain what that is?
The Watcher in the water. Here, look it up. Watcher in the water.
Watcher in the water. Oh, it's a Tolkien thing. Okay. Watcher in the Water is a fictional creature in Tolkien's Middle-earth. Appears in Fellowship of the Ring, and lurks in a lake below the western walls of the dwarf realm Moria. It is said to have appeared to be after the damming of the river Saranon, and its presence was first recorded by Balin's dwarf company 30 or so before the beginning of the Fellowship of the Ring. The origins of the creature are not described in Tolkien's works, but critics have compared it to legendary Kraken and Odysseus' passage between the devouring Scylla and the whirlpool Charybdis. Its presence in combination with the Barrier Lake and the formidable doors of Durin have been likened to multiple obstacles often found in Norse mythology. Okay, this sounds kind of like the sea serpent archetype, like Lotan, Leviathan, those.
It's kind of portrayed as a kraken in the movie, in the book too. But lore-wise, it's kind of a sea serpent.
All right. What else can you tell us about it? Like, is there anything interesting about it?
No, not particularly. It's like it's an old one, and not from Cthulhu. I forget the actual name, but Gandalf says in the books that there are, quote, far more evil and older things in Moria than orcs, and he's referring to the Balrog, obviously, and stuff like the Watcher in the Water. There's a specific term for them in the lore, but I forget what they're called. It's very cool, though. It's like it's very cool Lord of the Rings lore.
I can't remember. Do goblins exist in Middle-earth?
Yes, they do.
Okay. Yeah. And orcs are a subspecies of goblins, right?
Orcs are goblins.
No, corrupted elves. Corrupted elves.
Oh, wait. Oh, no, I'm thinking of Urukai. Sorry, I'm going insane.
The orcs were created by a deity that corrupted the goblins, right?
I thought they were elves.
Sauron, but yeah.
Okay.
He
Connor, you're with
deity,
us.
doesn't he?
All right, Connor's here now. That's great. Okay, so what were they thinking of? The goblins, they're like inventors, right? And then the orcs are like sadistic versions of the goblins, right?
The F students are inventors, yeah.
Who are the inventors?
F
F students. Sorry, I was
Oh, the F students. I thought you meant the F students, like, in Lord of the Rings, in the Tolkien, in Middle Earth. The F students are inventors. Man, my brain is broken. Okay, yeah. The orcs are just, they just create torture devices for fun. That's basically all they do. It's lame. Connor, you missed a little bit, but basically we're talking about Tolkien as it relates to underground sea squids below Antarctica. What do you think about that?
Sea squids below Antarctica?
A cryptid.
That makes sense. Oh. I was going to say that's probably where they would live, you know?
Yeah. Also, Will, you mentioned something. You mentioned old ones. Anytime someone says old ones, like...
I don't think they're actually called that. You were talking about Cthulhu earlier, and they reminded me of that.
It just always
I just can't remember the name.
Catches my attention. Like, Connor, you showed me an article on the Warhammer wiki, and, like, there's old ones in Warhammer. Like, just everything has old ones. And obviously that comes from the Cthulhu mythos, but, like, it just always, like, catches my attention whenever I see that.
You know, like the first, like in the Epic of Gilgamesh, it starts by saying, in those old days, in those ancient days. People like talking about the past. So having past in your lore is pretty good.
Well, what are the older ones in Warhammer? Like, what's their role?
So, like, they kind of look like frogs, like in the pictures. They kind of, like, help, like, seed, like, life and help it develop across the galaxy. But, like, they wouldn't share their technology with the Necrons. Because, like, the old ones had the secret to immortality, and the Necrons were afraid, like, all had, like, strong fear of death. They all had cancer. Because, like, a Catan god was, like, cursing their star to, like, give them all, like, turbo cancer or whatever. So, like, they're like, please save us. And the old ones wouldn't share. So then the Necrons, like, went to war with the old ones, and they were losing because the old ones are a lot more powerful. So then, like, this Deceiver, whoever stood up, he's like, okay, Necrons, because, like, that was one of the Catan gods, like, made the universe or whatever. Like, I'll give you guys some powerful bodies if you help, to fight the old ones, be our slave. And, like, the old guys did it, and they lost their souls. So they're all just, like, kind of like the old ones' slaves. Oh, he didn't tell them they'd be slaves. But basically, the old ones are, like, a plot device to, like, battle the Necrons. And then the Necrons enslaved the Catan gods after the war and, like, turned them into batteries. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of, like, what the automatons and Helldivers do.
I'm trying to remember.
They're not quite
I'm going to have to pull this up in a second.
So, I can see some parallels. So, in Star Wars, there's I guess, kind of the older ones would be, like, the Celestials, kind of. Maybe don't quote me on this, because where, like, deities in Star Wars get a little complicated.
Mortis gods?
Sorry, what?
Yeah. I just said Mortis gods.
Oh, Mortis gods. Mortis gods, I think, they came a bit later, I think. I don't remember. Basically, the Celestials... So the reason there's so much life in the Sky River Galaxy, the Star Wars galaxy, is because it was divine design. Like, the Celestials, like, put all the life in the galaxy. And they also built Centerpoint Station. Centerpoint Station was used against Yu Vong later. And, darn it, I can't remember.
I forgot to mention a key piece of the Old Ones lore is that during their war with the Necrons, they made the Orc and the Eldar people to fight them. Because, like, they needed, like... Because they could, like, create, like, species and help them, like, evolve. So, like, they made the Orc specifically to fight the Necrons.
In Warhammer?
But they weren't Orcs, yeah, they were called Krorks.
And are they Orcs from Old World?
Old World is, like, a pocket dimension.
Oh, it's separate? Because I know Warhammer has, like, fantasy stuff. Where does it kind of draw the line between fantasy and science fiction?
So, Warhammer Fantasy is, like, its own setting, but it has, like, the same gods. It's, like, a connected universe.
Grimdark is the term, I believe.
Oh,
Not exclusive to Warhammer, but it's Grimdark.
Yeah.
But, like, the Warhammer Fantasy has, like, its own, like, everything is completely different, except they have, like, the same evil, corrupting gods that, like, influence everything. But they have cool things like the Skaven and stuff. I haven't looked into it because I don't like fantasy as much as I like sci-fi.
Well, here's an example. I haven't read this book yet. I just have it on my shelf. The 40K book, Rebel Winter, has, like, I think orcs, and it has, like, medieval weaponry on the cover. Like, let's see some of that imagery. So I guess it's kind of like an influence. I was going to say earlier is, like, when I think of old ones, what comes to mind is Star Wars' Typho Gem, which is basically just Cthulhu in Star Wars. Typho Typhogem, the left-handed god. And Typhogem is, let me see, first mentioned in the Book of Sith in 2012. Later, he's referenced in, I think, Smuggler's Guide, and he's also mentioned in the Rise of Skywalker Visual Dictionary, which is really deep cut. Basically, Typhogem is the firstborn of Telotny, a less than subtle reference to Cthulhu, and it was described as having a hideous thing the universe had never seen before, a tentacled grotesquerie with a pulpy head like a monstrous squid with the occluded deeps with the membranous wings that drew forth from the dripping, bloated sac that was the body, and could drive an individual to madness by looking at its face. The name Typhogem would have meant Father of Shadows, and Bongiorno noted a connection between the deity and Pomojima from Split of the Mind's Eye. The left-handed god was first mentioned in the 1981 Marvel UK short story The Pandora Effect, written by Alan Moore, as a subject of worship by the cult called the Five. And the Five are...
Why does it...
Sorry, what?
I was gonna say, why does it have to be just like straight Cthulhu? Like, why does it have to be a squid? Why can't they like pick something else? Like,
well, it's because that wasn't a choice. It was because early authors just decided to include Cthulhu, so later authors just kind of ran with it. You know, they had either the choice to, you know, recontextualize it or change it, but the narrative intention was to include Cthulhu, so they respect that choice going forward. So, you know, I admit it's kind of lazy, but it was early on, and they were just trying things out. They decided to stick with it because it made some cool... It was a kind of a cool connection. And Pomojima was... You can see the image right here. Pomojima was just a statue that looked pretty much just like Cthulhu, and Pomojima was later confirmed by Alan Dean Foster as just literally just Cthulhu. So it was confirmed in an interview, and I guess Pomojima was in concept art for Rogue One. I didn't know that. Yeah, so, and Pandora Effect was also a pretty weird comic, but beyond the point. So, organism... Oh, anything else about old ones you want to say?
Oh, I was going to say something.
Go ahead.
Relative to the old ones, they actually reminded me of freaking StarCraft 2, which I have not touched in like half a decade now. And because they have like the same thing of like the narrative of like the squid-faced old being that created all the other life forms. And it's legitimately the funniest thing to hear each of you just like rattle off a different story of like a squid-faced being from like a different like mythos or fandom.
That's how myth works, right? I mean...
What do you mean?
Like a myth like can involve... Like if you look at Mycenaean mythology, you can see it as like a Proto-Greek version of Greek mythology, and you can see narrative differences and how it changes over time. You can see how Greek myth evolves, seeps into stuff. Even if you look at Apocryphon of John, which we reviewed last episode, you see stuff like Jesus being identified with an eagle, like Zeus would be. You can see the Pistis Sophia mentions Zeus as a lower god. You can see how it evolved, how like Roman necromancy was an influence over medieval necromancy and later occult practices. Like you can see these, you can like draw a lineage with these things, with like a real life mythos. So I like this. I think it's interesting to see a fictional mythos follow a similar trajectory, where Lovecraft he wasn't forming a continuity. He wasn't trying to create a universe. He just, when his writing would provoke fear and the unknown, fear of the unknown, these evil deities from outer space. Here's another thing. When you read the Old Testament, when you read that these Israelite authors and later Jewish authors describe like Canaanite deities like Moloch, Baal, that whole pantheon, you can like read the fear that they have for these deities. They're like demons to them, or Beelzebub. Beelzebub is synonymous with Satan, despite him being a completely different deity in Canaanite mythology. So
yeah, I always noticed that whenever he's brought up, is that Beelzebub seems to almost be a substitute for Satan, despite them being completely different entities.
Following Christian mythology or legend, I don't know, following Christian tradition, I should say, Beelzebub is a subordinate demon who answers to Satan, I believe. And that's the consensus, but he himself is not Satan. I've heard some people claim, Lucifer, Satan, and Beelzebub are like an unholy trinity, but there's no evidence for that. That's kind of just like speculation. And Lucifer is different than Satan too, so yeah, more misconception. And Satan is only mentioned in the New Testament like not very many times. For example, he's mentioned like, let me look it up. How many times is Satan mentioned in the Bible? But
he's mentioned a lot in Revelation.
Yeah. Okay. There's no real number. Okay, so let's just say around 50. Okay. So the name Satan appears.
Lucifer referred to like one of the planets, right?
Lucifer means son of the morning. So some say Lucifer means fallen angel. Some people say Lucifer means Jesus. Some people think the name Lucifer is synonymous with enlightenment. The name Lucifer has kind of lost its meaning because it's synonymous with Satan. It's similar to how like the swastika is no longer a symbol of peace; it's a symbol of war and evil. So similarly, when people start using the name Lucifer, I start to think they don't really have the best intentions, but they are right in that it does not mean Satan. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in terms of
I hate to say this now, but I do need to get going. I have early class at 9 tomorrow.
All right.
So it was good doing this episode with everyone. I'm going to head out now.
All right. He was here for the good part. Don't worry. So the name Satan appears 27 times in the Book of Mormon, and the name and the devil appears about 89 times in the Book of Mormon. So combined, that's like 125 times. So that's like double the amount in the New Testament.
Like
so
1% of the words at that point.
My point is, I'm not making any claims here, just that Satan was a figure that became more prominent as Christianity went forward. If I think of the origin of Satan, I think of Anger Manu. I think when Jesus was referring to Satan or the devil, I think that was a stand-in for Anger Manu, personally. Like, I think, because there's a Zoroastrian influence over Judaism, that's pretty much the only place it could come from. That's the only devil figure I could think of. I mean, there was demons at that point. Like, Canaanite deities were thought of as demons. And people read Satan into the Bible, and the Tanakh, into the Old Testament and Torah. But the serpent in the garden wasn't Satan until way later. Some Gnostics even thought that the serpent was Jesus. So it's really up for interpretation. And I hate to burst everyone's bubble, but the story about Moses confronting Satan, that wasn't in the Bible. That was in the Book of Moses, which is part of the Pearl of Great Price in the Mormon canon. So that's separate.
It's so hard to remember what is and isn't after, no longer believe, after, stopping believing in Mormonism specifically, because they incorporate it so much into the doctrine.
Well, if you read the inspired version, then yeah, but if you just read the normal KJV or the Revised Standard Version or just whatever Bible translation, you can see where the differences are, and it's fine. I mean, it's fine that those books exist. The part I don't get is when people claim they're part of the Old Testament when they're obviously they're not included in there for a reason. They're separate books, so you shouldn't just include it in Genesis when it's a separate book of Moses. It's not the same thing.
It's what my favorite thing is to read back on, though?
What?
Is probably Abraham in the context of Genesis. Because it basically is just another Genesis.
Moses too. Yeah, Apocrypha of John, Book of Abraham, Book of Moses. So the thing about Book of Abraham and Book of Moses is, from an academic perspective, they'd probably be considered pseudepigraphical. I know the text claimed it's written by Abraham and Moses. Academically, it would be probably, the composition date would of course be after the 1830s, but going off Joseph Smith's word, is originally a text from Abraham and Moses, similar to the Sword of Moses grimoire. The Sword of Moses grimoire is a mystical text attributed to Moses. It was supposedly a grimoire, which is a kind of like a magical codex given to Moses on. Wow, my brain isn't working. What's the name of the mountain that Moses met with God?
Wait. I even
Mount
have
Sinai?
this on a...
Mount Sinai.
No.
Okay.
Wait,
Wow.
oh, no, I'm thinking...
My brain was breaking. Fun fact, there's an Indiana Jones book about Indiana Jones fighting a cyborg Nazi on Mount Sinai. Not sure how that's relevant, but that's funny. Anyways, on Mount Sinai, Moses met with God, and God gave him the 10 Commandments, and according to Jewish legend or tradition, he also gave him the Sword of Moses, which was a mystical grimoire, which I don't remember what kind of mysticism it was a part of. Maybe Proto-Kabbalah or maybe alchemy. I think it was maybe alchemy. Maybe an alchemical text of Proto-Kabbalah. I don't think it was Merkava or Apocalypticism, because it was a grimoire, so yeah, probably Kabbalah or alchemy. So you could see similar... So when I say pseudepigraphical, it's a text that is signed under the name Moses to give it authenticity. If some random rabbi comes forward and says, hey, I wrote a grimoire, no one's going to care. If a random rabbi comes forward and says, hey, I found a manuscript attributed to Moses, everyone cares. That's what makes a difference. So the Book of Moses, at minimum, it would be like, even from like a believing perspective, it'd be like pseudepigraphical. But obviously there's no evidence of it existing prior to the 1830s. So yeah, and like Satan is mentioned there, and Satan wasn't a figure until like way later too. So that would add to the pseudepigraphical theory, but obviously it's a sketchy text because there was no manuscript. I mean, the Book of Abraham.
In seminary.
Yeah.
At least the Book of.
Another.
Sorry, go ahead.
I remember
I
in
was gonna
seminary,
say-
I would
Oh,
hear
sorry.
about Lucifer. Sorry.
No, you
was
say.
gonna they'd say like Lucifer was the devil, and that Lucifer was an angel that thought he could like go to the throne of God and like overtake God and his beauty, and that's why he fell and became the devil. I remember them talking about that. But the other day I was reading about it, and it's actually comes from a verse in Isaiah, where they say, Lucifer, how art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations. They're not saying that, like, Lucifer, like the devil, they're not referring to Satan, they're referring to the king of Babylon.
Yeah. Well, the only real religion that really gave Satan an actual name is Islam. His name is Iblis. And Iblis, let me just double check that, actually.
I think it's Iblis.
Yeah, Iblis. So, Iblis is probably the only real name we have. Lucifer just means son of the morning. Satan just means adversary in Hebrew, so we don't have a name. Because Satan isn't in the Old Testament. So, the New Testament just uses the word Satan, like, as a name. But the New Testament is composed in Greek and Aramaic, and the Old Testament is composed in Hebrew, so obviously there's a bit of maybe kind of a lost in translation type situation there. So, Iblis is the only name we can really run on from any religion. I don't even think Mormons have a name for him. Like, we have the name Amen for God, but there's no name for anything else. The thing is, with the fallen angel narrative, that's not in the Bible, but the closest story I can think of would be in the book of Enoch. First Enoch, with the Watchers, which are fallen angels, just impregnated human women, which justified the flood because they created the Nephilim. So, there's fallen angel narratives, and people used to say, like, shooting stars were fallen angels, that kind of thing. So it's definitely a thing. It's just not in the Bible. That's the difference. But Book of Abraham had a manuscript. The Book of Moses never had a manuscript. It was just automatic writing at that point. That's what makes a difference. But
You know what I noticed when I was looking at the Book of Abraham, though?
what?
So, relating to that, and like historicity, the Book of Abraham uses the Tetragrammaton, which I'm assuming you know what it is.
In what way?
Yahweh.
Does it say YHWH, or does it use the words Lord and God in the proper context as in Genesis?
It uses Jehovah, not Lord.
Jehovah. Okay.
However, I do know what you're referring to.
So Jehovah is kind of like a Christian version of the Tetragrammaton, kind of. So it's the Tetragrammaton, but the Y is pronounced with a J sound in German, and a lot of early Christian scholarly research was in German, so it got kind of Anglicized to Jehovah. So Jehovah is a completely superficial name. I mean, it's fine, because you're not really supposed to say the real name of God anyway. Like, you're not supposed to throw the Tetragrammaton around, so a stand-in makes sense. Jews have tons of stand-ins, and they have stand-ins for different contexts. Like they can't use like certain names of God in certain contexts. Like they have stand-ins for the name of God specifically when they're in the bathroom, for example, or they have certain stand-ins, or they can't. For example, when Jews say in Hebrew shalom, which means there's a greeting, you say shalom. Shalom is technically a name of God, so you can't. So when you're using the bathroom, basically when you're in a bathhouse, your Jewish bathhouse, you can't say shalom because you're using the name of God in the bathroom. So you have to say something else besides shalom. So maybe an English example would be like if I can't say hello.
Your audio is cutting out a little bit.
Okay, sorry. So basically, to rehash, shalom is a name of God, but it's also a greeting. So you can't say shalom in a bathhouse if you're Jewish because you're saying the name of God.
Is anybody else noticing audio cutting out? Because it feels like the audio is cutting out.
I thought that was just my end.
Audio's cutting out for you too, Connor?
Yeah, it must be on your end.
All right.
I think my headset hates me right now.
All right. When I'm closer.
Like I can't hear anything that's being said right now at all.
Oh, you can't hear me. Okay, I will switch this real fast. Okay, can you guys hear me better now? Is that a yes?
I don't think Nathan can.
All right. Well, if you can. All right. Did you hear what I said about using the name of God in the bathroom?
Shalom, or
Yeah. That's a weird thing to see in a context.
just that. Restate what you were saying.
Okay, so basically, shalom is a greeting in Hebrew, but it's also a name for God. So if you're in a Jewish bathhouse, you can't say the name of God. You can't say the name of God in or stand-ins in the bathroom. So if you're because bathhouse is just a giant bathroom. So okay, Nathan's just gonna.
I don't know if you guys can hear me because I can't hear anything you guys are saying right now, but I'm gonna exit the call right now. I can't really. Okay, cool.
All right,
have
goodbye.
a good night and have fun talking, I guess.
And there were two.
Oh boy. Anyway, okay, so you're using the bathroom. You're in a bathhouse. Shalom is a greeting and a name for God. And so if you're using the bathroom and you're in a bathhouse, you can't say shalom because it's a name for God, so you have to have a stand-in for shalom as a greeting.
Know that. I thought it was just a greeting. Like, why is it also a name for God?
I mean, it's probably just some weird tradition like, oh, I'm going to greet you with the name of God. Well, it's not really the name of God, it's just a name for God. Similar to, sometimes Jesus is associated with, living water, Lamb of God. Those aren't his names, per se. It's just stand-ins. If I say the Lamb of God, no one's questioning that's Jesus, for example.
That makes sense.
Okay, one little side tangent is the lamest apologetic excuse I've heard for Jesus being in the Old Testament was when Moses hit a rock, while they're in the wilderness, and then the water came out of the rock. They said, "Oh, the rock became alive and the water came out. It's an allegory for Jesus, who's a living water." I'm like thinking, okay, that's like the most deep cut reference that could be in there. So they're saying the author could have just written that in, or they put some crazy allegory that may or may not even be a thing. It's just such a you know what I mean? It's not really. It's like a fan theory, I guess. That's definitely not what the author meant when he was writing that.
The theory.
Yeah, that's just a side tangent. Anyways, what were we talking about? Book of Abraham.
Talking about Book of It.
I think we're done with that. Let's get back to the actual cryptid. Okay.
Time you mentioned the Book of Abraham, it's a rabbit hole.
We were talking about pseudo archaeology and Egyptology earlier, so I tried avoiding bringing that up, but it's up there.
Impossible.